going to be pretty awesome.
Pleasure having you with us, Sarah. Thank you very much for giving us the time and joining us. Colin.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here, especially with Sara and Mina. And yeah, my name is Colin Fitzpatrick. I am Irish. I'm from Dublin in Ireland, but I've been living in Dubai for about 5 years. And my background is fully tech. I've worked for a lot of big tech companies for my entire career: Oracle, Dell, Salesforce, HubSpot. About 3 years ago, I left that and went into entrepreneurship in Web3, set up my own sort of metaverse and NFT company, and launched Token, which was a wild experience. We worked with Snoop Dogg, Alicia Keys, Robin Thicke, and some others. And, you know, I've always been a lover of all technology, emerging technology and futurism. So when ChatGPT was launched onto the scene, probably about a year ago now, I looked at it, and the very day I said, this is the most transformational technology of our lives ever, and this is what I want to do. And since then, I've been burying myself in it. I have been a prolific writer on LinkedIn, so do please follow me on LinkedIn. I write about AI pretty much every day, along with some other topics like, you know, Web3 and robotics, etc. Really enjoy that journey. That is how I came to be on this webinar. But yeah, now I am a consultant for AI, and I help companies understand AI and how they can utilize it in their business. When I actually came across Curious, I thought it was amazing, and I messaged the founders and I said, I want to talk to you and I want to understand how this works, and because I think it's a transformational piece of technology, and they very kindly invited me back to speak here today. So thank you very much.
Fantastic, fantastic. Welcome to the conversation, Colin. I'm so happy to have you with us on this conversation. So everybody, the problem we're here to solve in the coming 50 minutes or so is to understand how can the latest AI trends help us unleash more potential when it comes to recruitment processes, right? So you have a few challenges that I think we face as human resources professionals. We're going to talk about it, but also we need to understand further what AI is, how it's going to help us do that. And by the end of this conversation, Colin and Sarah have very strong tips to share with you when it comes to influencing key decision makers. Because just like any good conversation, right? You have fantastic ideas, you're super inspired, you go back to your company and then you go like, well, there is no budget, right? It happens a lot. And so also like stay till the end if you want to know how to actually make all of your learnings from this conversation actionable when you go back to your workspaces, all right? So starting off with Colin. Colin, we keep talking about AI all the time, right? I think it's one of the most keywords, hashtags, spoken about topics in 2023. There was a massive spike when it comes to this topic being addressed in different forums, different industries, not only in the tech domain, but like pretty much everybody now is talking about digital transformation, specifically artificial intelligence. AI is artificial intelligence, and we know that. But I'm not sure how able are we to define or describe AI if we're asked. Like if someone comes to me and say, Mina, define artificial intelligence. I wouldn't have the faintest idea how to put it in a couple of sentences, you know? So we need your help. So this conversation is like, you know, more meaningful and relatable. How would you define AI? What is it?
So I don't even know if there's an official definition. There's probably 100 definitions, but I'm just going to keep this fairly high level and easy to understand. AI is the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines. That's essentially what is done. We've kind of figured out an amazing way to make computers think like we do. And now they can talk like we do and understand us the way we talk. And that is a very major milestone. So the important thing to really understand is AI has been around quite a long time. Okay, people have been building these large language models, which is the important part of it, for many years. It's just that, you know, unless you're a scientist or some sort of hardcore techie, you probably didn't know, and there wasn't much exposure for the general public. But they have been doing it, and you know, every one of us has used AI many times in our daily life without even knowing it. So say, for example, you know, you go on to Amazon and it goes, oh, people who bought this also bought that. that's artificial intelligence. There's some other ones like even your recommendations on Netflix, predictive text, that is artificial intelligence. And actually, an easy way of understanding it is what large language models do is they basically try to predict the next word or series of words in a sentence. And that's not really too different to how our brains work. I'm talking now, I'm thinking a few steps ahead of what I'm going to say, and I'm making it up as I go along pretty much. Mm-hmm. But we figured out to make computers do that, but then they have the ability to amass an incredible amount of data, many, many orders of magnitude more than anyone of us can. And what comes out of that is really, really incredible. So they've been doing it for a long time. I mean, Snapchat filters, all of this different stuff, business intelligence, we've all used it. But OpenAI, who was started by A, Elon Musk, not involved anymore, but B, Sam Altman, they wanted to bring AI to the forefront and make it usable. And they were the first people to bring out a product, and that product is ChatGPT that we all know, okay? And everyone has gone on there and seen it and said, this is completely different to what we've had before. And the way I like to explain it is this. Previously, when trying to deal with, talk to, input to a computer, we have all of these thoughts in our head. We cram them down to a few words or a sentence and we type it into Google. And then that gives us a much more narrow selection of web pages to look at, and we go through and we find what we want. But now there has been a massive transition in how computing works, because with large language models and AI, you can ask it a question and it will give you the answer. It's that simple. And I think everyone knows that from using ChatGPT. But what's important to know is the ramifications of this are going to be astronomical in the software industry. And there used to be an old saying that software is eating the world. And now I think it's AI is going to be eating the software world, because every single piece of software going forward is going to have AI in it in some way, shape, or form, okay? So there's a reason why we're able to do this, and it's because of something called natural language processing. And that's what I said earlier before. It just means that I can talk exactly as I'm talking now, and the computer can figure out what I want to say. And what AI, if you want to think of it in really, really simple terms, what it can do is it's really, really good at summarizing very, very large volumes of text. And that's why you could take a massive article or a PDF and you can dump it into ChatGPT and you can go, give me the bullet point summary, and it'll pull out 10 bullet points, probably better than anyone can do if they had, 3 hours to do it. It's remarkable, and it does in a couple of seconds. And the ramifications of that to other things, especially recruitment, which is what Curious do, is incredible. Because this is why I wanted to talk to the guys in Curious. I have hired people before. Now, I haven't worked in HR, but I've been in large organizations for 20 years, and I've been on the other side and I know how it works. But in my small business, I've put up ads, and I'm only a very small business. And I put up an ad for a techie person or a business person, and I could get 100, 200, 300 replies. And if you're a big organization, you can get thousands. And as we know, that's completely impossible for a person to sift through. But AI is perfectly suited to do that, because it can look through everything and it can sort it down. But it can do it an awful lot better than the traditional systems of ATS, because it really understands what you're looking for and it understands the person. And as I said, I think this is going to change software like completely across the field. And the best thing I can tell people is stop trying to talk to a computer the way we're used to talking to computers. Treat it like a human. The more input you give it, you can be conversational, the better you will get out of it. I could talk for 2 hours, but I'm going to stop there and let you ask another question.
I believe we can listen for 2 hours, man. This is very, very interesting stuff. And I would like to ask permission from Sarah to stay with Colin for a couple more minutes, because I have a pressing question. And by the way, for the audience here, we're around 41 minus 3, that's 38. If I don't really suck at math, maybe 38 people. If you have any questions, just feel free to dump them in the chat box. We will address them almost immediately. Colin, my next question is about the excitement. There is something you said in the beginning of defining what AI is, and you said it is the simulation of our thinking as humans. what exactly is the value of this kind of advancement or evolution of technology? Why are we so excited about it as like talking humanity, right, in general?
Well, mainly I think it's because it enables us to do so many more things that we've never been able to do before. I mean, go back a year or two when most people didn't really know and think about AI too much. We're still heavily engaged in software. We all absolutely live online. We're completely addicted to our phones. Everything is applications and communication online compared to 20 years ago. But this is just going to have a orders of magnitude sort of change in how things are done. And let me just jump back a little bit and sort of explain it in another way. You need to think about AI as significant a platform as the invention of the internet. I mean, think about what our lives were like before the internet versus what they're like now. It's just completely different, and it will be the same again in ways that we can't really even imagine. But AI, I like to think of it as a platform to enable a huge amount of other things. And I tell you what, I'm going to really quickly address the important question that everyone loves to ask. Should I be scared of it? Is AI going to steal my job? Okay. And what I want to tell you is no. The fact that you're on this webinar means you're interested enough in AI, you're thinking about it, you're probably using some tools and you want to get to know it. And the fact that you're already there, you're at the forefront. And if you stay there, you don't have anything to worry about. Sure, AI will take certain jobs. If all you do is copy and paste from this place to another, yeah, AI is probably going to replace you, okay? If it's the most menial tasks of automation and repetition where machine learning, which has been around for years, can do it too, absolutely. But just like the internet, AI is going to enable so many more businesses than we have never thought about before, just like Curious, okay? That there's going to be, it's going to create a massive amount of new jobs. Now, there's a great saying, I think it's from Warren Buffett, and he said, AI is a little bit like refrigeration. The people who invented refrigeration, they made some money, but the people who made the real money were Coca-Cola, because they used this new invention of refrigeration to create a new product, and they spread it all over the world. And there will be thousands of Coca-Colas, maybe not that big, but there will be millions of millionaires, there will be millions of businesses built on top of AI, because it's going to enable us to do things that we've never been able to do before. And that is really why it's so exciting. But let me talk a little bit more, and this is of specific interest to HR and recruitment, is because what we're going to see is people being a whole lot more used to talking to computers and humanizing them. I like to call them digital humans or synthetic humans. Right now, you can go on a website sometimes and you can see a little robot-y text box, and you can type in your question and it kind of sort of understands what you're trying to do, and it'll go, here's a little help article or whatever. That's gone now. I ask for what I want and it gives me the answer, and it'll be solving problems. But then there'll be a face behind that, a digital human-like face, and we will talk to it. That's literally what I'm doing in my day job at the moment. And I believe that in a couple of years, things like customer service, if I have a problem with my phone or a utility bill, I was like, who do I call? I'm going to be on hold. I'm going to be talking to someone from the other side of the world who doesn't understand me. They don't know my problem. They don't know the product. I have to explain it in detail. And then probably I'll get transferred around and have to repeat myself all over again. Those days are gone now. You're going to talk to an AI. It's going to be infinitely knowledgeable because it has all of their data from the entire business. It's going to be so patient with you, and it'll take the time to understand absolutely everything. And if it can't fix it, it'll recommend exactly what has to be done to a human to go on. So there'll be some form of automation there that, maybe some customer service will lower, but customer service will get better. And it will enable humans to do what we want to do and what we're more valuable at, not the boring donkey work that we all get lost in that we hate doing.
Awesome. Oh, I'm hearing a few words. Maybe you didn't mention the exact same words, Colin, but these are the words that are echoing in my ear listening to that. Efficiency, accuracy, speed, innovation, opportunities, right? With the Coca-Cola story. And one word that you actually said was enabler. You said AI is an enabler. Now, Sarah, I want to ask you, when it comes to the enablement piece of the discussion, what are the key challenges that you see specifically, generally in HR, but specifically when it comes to recruitment? We're talking about selection, maybe sourcing in the beginning of it, and then selection, right? And maybe even with the hiring decision and all. What kind of key problems or challenges that you believe AI is going to enable us solve?
Thanks, Mina. And I think Colin touched a little bit upon this. I think the main problem that AI is going to really help us solve is the massive amount of data, the massive amount of analytics that we need to do in order to get this done. So, for example, Colin mentioned you put a job ad out, 200, honestly, that's a lucky number. In this side of the world, in this region, you're getting 2,000, 3,000 people who are applying. And there is no way that you can go through that individually. And yes, there are filters. And yes, if you use an applicant tracking system, you can probably put filters. But chances are you're going to miss a big deal of good candidates from these automatic filters because they're not taking into account the context. They're not taking into account the background, the experience. What AI can do is it can look beyond the CV, and it can analyze all of these mounds of data and filter your top 3. So it's kind. I always used to tell people it's kind of like I don't know if anyone here has heard of Tinder or whether they'll admit that they've heard of Tinder or not, but it's similar to Tinder, and it's similar to how Tinder matches people, and you can swipe left and swipe right, I guess. AI will do the same thing for recruitment, where you will get your top candidates right at the touch of your button, and they're beyond the CV. They turn into videos. You can get so innovative with these things. It's really incredible what you can do. So that's on the data, the mounds of data. But the other problem that AI can definitely help solve is this static way that we look at recruitment and the static way that we look at promotions and internal promotions, especially. Right now, I'm in finance. I stay in finance until the rest of my career trajectory. I start as a finance executive, then I become a finance manager, then I become a finance director, then I become CFO. What AI is doing is it's looking at your CV and it's taking away this rigid way that we do business. And it's saying, yes, actually, Mina's in finance, but based on all of this data that we've gotten from his performance management reports, from things his employee or his colleagues are saying about him, his team is saying about him, he would actually make a pretty good person in strategy. And they would be able to think outside the box because there's no bias with HR. There's a lot of bias with HR, but there's no bias with AI if it's done.
Sarah, this is a recorded webinar, right?
I'm done. That's it. That's my answer.
I'm just pulling your leg. Please go on.
No, but it's that aspect where it's going to teach us how to think outside the box. My 2 main issues as an HR leader is my team doing stuff that is just busy work and can easily be automated, and they're not unlocking their minds to think of other creative ways to solve a problem. And I think AI is an incredible companion in order to help do that.
Sarah, did you notice the chat box? I asked when you mentioned the amount of applications, I asked how many applications does everybody get on average, and Anoop said the highest they've ever had was 6,000 applications over a single weekend. Anoop, did you disclose the salary in the job openings? Did you say like?
Not really. I used to work for an internet company, a delivery app back in India. Very aspirational company to be part of, and we were looking to hire a senior software engineer, about 6 years of experience. We posted the job over the weekend, Saturday evening. We went back home, had a good time over the weekend, and came back on Monday. An explosion of profiles. Yeah. And I agree with what Sarah says. The challenges. Internet has obviously made it very easy to apply for jobs. how do we see through this, and there's always this constant worry of missing out on that particular, the right candidate who just gets lost in the 6,000 profiles. How do we shortlist that? How do we get to the bottom of that? I hope, this call gets to answering those questions.
So you basically got 6,000 applications over a weekend, and you spend the rest of the year trying to filter and
No, we didn't. Yeah, that's the challenge, right? So we sieve it down, we filter it down, and we get to the candidate. And India has a lot of backout ratios at the last minute. It hurts when you offer a candidate and the candidate backs out, and you always wonder, was that one candidate who would have joined, is that person in that 6,000, right? Because you already put that effort, you already got people on the board, the interview's done, rolled out the offer, and then that person backs out, and you keep wondering, where did I miss out?
Anoop, are you
that pain hurts for a year for sure, Mina.
Are you talking about a job applicant or an ex?
The hiring market back home is crazy.
Mina, I'm just going to touch on James's question, if you don't
absolutely,
mind.
Absolutely, please.
So James, amazing question, and this is the whole aspect of thinking outside the general box we've been put in.
I'm sorry for the interruption. Do you mind saying the question out loud for those who can?
Yeah. Hold on, let me find it. So James asked, how would AI know the difference between an honest or overly inflated resume? And with the standard confines of HR, it wouldn't. So I could put whatever I want in my resume. I could use ChatGPT to answer whatever things that you have. But the beauty with AI is it helps us really think much bigger. So we could easily come up with case studies and have all candidates who apply fill out these case studies or fill out these actual on-the-job issues that you would face. And rather than needing to sift through 3,000 case studies, AI will segregate them, and they'll say, based on the profiles, plus based on XYZ questions or case studies that you've given them, here are the top three candidates, and here's why. And it's this ability to add more complexity to the recruitment process from the get-go. So that's on one aspect. On the other aspect, I think, Colin, was it you that was saying that there's like a virtual AI that can come in and do the first round of interviews, like actually have an interview with the person? Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, sure. So there's a friend of mine who is working with an extremely large sort of governmental organization that has a massive plan to hire, I think it's like 100,000 people over the next number of years. And if you think about, if you need to hire 100,000 people, how many do you need to interview, and how many do you need to screen, and how many applications are you going to get? So what they've built is a digital human AI powered solution where it can actually act as the first line interviewer. So you will be called for an interview, and you will see a 3D avatar, and it will ask a set list of questions, and it will transcribe your answers, and then it will grade them, and it will provide the top 10 people for the shortlist. But it can also do things like read your facial expressions, your body language, your confidence, see if you're off here looking at notes, anything like that, and try and judge maybe on a cultural fit, for example. And this is exactly the type of thing where AI can just take this horrible layer of work that has to be done, that we just trudge through at the moment, and it can bring us down into the layer 2 and 3, which is where we really want to be and where our value is being added.
And Colin, I think you've just kind of answered Ginevra's question. Ginevra, let me know if this is not the case, because Ginevra asked in the chat if artificial intelligence is very useful in these cases, the cases I think that Sara was mentioning, but isn't there the possibility that it could discard candidates who are still much more valid overall?
Well, I would say that happens every single day with humans. I mean, I'm not a recruiter, but no one is perfect, and I'm sure people get discarded who they could have been the best candidate in the world. there's no way to be perfect on that. Sure, I'm sure, like Sarah said, people can lie and they can beef up their CV and things like that. And maybe it can't understand the type of person they are or be a cultural fit, etc. But, you know, I'm not aware of any perfect solution for any software. It's just that this is an awful lot better. There are always advantages and there are always drawbacks.
Absolutely, and I also think, like, if you don't mind me, like, you know, chipping in here, because most of the technology we're talking about is already there. There's not much innovation. These things are used in different, you know, institutes and, you know, different practices outside of the business world. All what's happening now, all of this is being democratized, right? Like, this is basically what's happening. So you can put someone in front of a camera, and the camera, you know, captures their micro expressions and stuff like that, and you could say how authentic, you know, a person's answer is, for example, and stuff like this. So the technology is there. It's been validated a million times before. Will it be 100% accurate? No, but as just like Colin said, are humans, right? So it's more efficient, it's faster, and it's definitely going to be a little bit more accurate, taking bias out of the equation. A few comments before we move on. We're midway. It's 7:30 GST right now. We're midway through the conversation already. If you're having fun, let us know in the chat. And I'm very happy with the questions. There are a lot of questions, and thank you very much for this. I'm going to go a little earlier to capture Hisham's comment that Hisham comes from a niche industry, so doesn't necessarily get a lot of applicants for a given job opportunity. Pratap says we need to lift discussion to how AI algorithms gonna change the way we search public data sets, the role of NLP, computer vision, etc. What are the new launches of LinkedIn AI in hiring and learning? I saw that there was a big thing about LinkedIn AI in hiring, yes. Roles of Microsoft Viva and what are firms like Eightfold, Gloat, Burnery, etc. doing? I think this is a very, very good question. If you don't mind, let's park it to the end of the conversation just to stay with the flow of the recruitment situation, and then we can get to this near the end. Jermeen commented some jobs till 50 candidates, other till 200. This is for LinkedIn if it's for one day only, but for other like job boards like WhatsApp, it's a job board in Egypt, it could reach 700 applications if the job is left open for more days. James, we've taken your question. Pratap is completing and saying also some light on ethical AI and explainability. Absolutely, that's going to be considered as well. Colin, if you'd be generous enough at the end of the webinar to just, you know, let's take a couple of minutes and get Pratap's question. Jennifer was already touched base on that. Anoop is very happy. There goes jobs of all interview as a service providers, but they're going to find something else to do, I'm sure. And then Francisco is asking a question. Couldn't the use of artificial intelligence in the HR field lead to a reduction in the number of employees in a company, Sarah?
All right, so this is my favorite question to ask, and the answer is yes, I hope so. I cannot wait for that time. Now, the reason why I'm saying
just to remind you, this is a recorded.
No, but I'm gonna ask you, ladies and gentlemen, a question. How many hours did we used to work before the 40-hour work week? Does anyone here know? Write it in the comments if you know.
Are you asking about like the real average kind of working hours per individual on a weekly basis?
Yeah, how many hours on average did we used to work prior to the 40-hour work week? Rafael says 10 to 15 hours. Any other takers? 60, 65. I'm gonna give you 3, 2, 1. Okay, we used to work 100 hours a week. 100 hours a week. Can you imagine working 100 hours a week prior to the Ford Revolution? And the reason why we actually moved to the 40-hour work week was because, drum roll, there was huge unemployment rates. It was post a bunch of wars. I'm sure I'm hoping no one here remembers them, but World War I, World War II, massive unemployment rates. And so they had to find ways for people to find jobs. So what they did was they halved the amount of time that people would spend at work. And so this is where the birth of the 40-hour work week actually came on. Now, the beauty with AI and what I really genuinely believe AI is going to do is it's going to have the amount of time we need to spend at work. So yes, it is going to take a lot of the admin jobs. This is true. But like Colin said, there will be a lot of other creative jobs that are going to be opening up. And it's up to us to get creative. If we're going to stay stuck, if we're going to try and do recruitment in the same way, digging our heads in the sand, hoping that AI is not going to take over our jobs, AI will take over your jobs. And I hope it does, because it'll do it faster. We need to think bigger as human beings. And we need to consider the fact that we're not going to be needed for the 8-hour days. We're not needed for the 8-hour days now. Let's be honest. Who works 8-hour days? I definitely don't. And so what we'll do is we'll most likely end up with a model where we'll come to work for 2 hours or 3 hours a day just to integrate the interconnectedness between people, because AIs can do something, but you still need that human connection that's there. That will never go away. But then what you could do with the rest of your time is either start your own company, work for another company. So you have 2 hours in this company, another 2 hours in that company, but it will really expand our horizons. We just have to be open to it. And we also have to accept the hard truth that some roles are going to go away.
Some roles are going to go away, being replaced with other roles. I mean, before social media, nobody heard about influencers, social media marketers, all of these things. These are new jobs that evolved with technology, and eventually other jobs deteriorated, right? Or other career paths deteriorated. So just saying that, yes, AI is going to replace some jobs, and yes, the head count in some departments is going to be, it's not going to be needed as much anymore and stuff like that. That doesn't mean desperate people begging in the street, right? It just means that the whole professional career paths or career map is going to change, evolving or introducing us to more ideas. As humans, we are more creative and more capable than we think we are, and we always find ways to leverage on opportunities, and AI is providing us with a lot of opportunities. And so many comments in the chat. And Sheikh is asking a very good question that we've actually prepared. The panel has this question answered in 7 to 10 minutes. Stay tuned. We're going to answer the question of how to enhance ourselves with AI. Are there any courses recommended? This is Sheikh's question. Colin and Sarah are going to help us answer that, actually. I'm seeing a lot of psychotherapy kind of comments mentioned here. That's also going to be on a boom. A lot of good conversations there as well. So now to the elephant in the room. We understand what AI is. Colin, thank you very much for that. We understand that there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to the recruitment space, leveraging on AI advancements. Sarah, thank you for opening our eyes to those as well. Now is the time to ask ourselves, as a professional, I have a lot of ideas. I know exactly where the holes and gaps in my process is. I know exactly how to recommend, this step, instead of us having, 7 interviews, it could be 2. If we bring over an AI solution, for example, right? Or it could be the way we produce job descriptions, or it could be the way we do filtering. If we're not using ATS, we want to use one. If we're using one that is not very efficient, maybe you want to replace it with a more efficient one, or like the 2.0 kind of version of it, and stuff like that. But the question is, I go with all of these amazing ideas to senior management, and the response is, well, have you included in 2024 budget? And I go like, no, I've just attended this webinar. And they go like, all right, see you in 2025. This is just, of course, the sarcastic way of putting it. But the question on a more serious note is, how can we as HR professionals influence without authority when it comes to encouraging the key decision makers in the company to adapt those kind of solutions, to stay ahead of the curve? The future is already here, and we want to make sure that our organizations, from a performance perspective, at least in our domains, are leveraging in all of this technology. To summarize, I think the longest webinar question in the world that I just said, how can we go back from this webinar and influence decision makers, bring them on board to adapt AI solutions? Colin, how can we build a business case around that?
So I think it's, not too different from any other piece of software or, business change or investment. I mean, once you have a solid understanding of the needs and the pain points, it's about understanding how it can impact that and quantifying the ROI, because that's it. We all spend money because we think we're going to get more back. It would be important to understand how it can help you either gain competitive advantage or speed up things and have more operational efficiencies. And aligning to your long-term vision of what the company's trying to do, whether make more money, cut costs, etc. But ultimately try and run a pilot project, show that it's successful, and go from there. I mean, AI can be a massive, long, complex project where you've got a team of people building something out, or it can be as simple as buying a simple off-the-shelf product that doesn't cost very much, and that's the great thing about most of these AI tools. As I said, it is a platform for people to build software on top of that takes advantage of all this amazing work that the people in OpenAI and Meta and Microsoft and other companies have done, that enable us to do things that we were never able to do before. And it can be done you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of these things are a couple of $100 a month. And, they can be taken out of an operations budget very easily. But generally what will happen is they will show their value. And I think every company really needs to be looking at how they can insert AI into their business, into their processes, use better tools, because if you're not going to do that, your competitors will, and you'll be left behind. Sara, any comments?
No, I fully agree. And I'm not a person who, well, in some companies I've had awesome budgets, and other companies I've really had to make up my own budget as we see fit. And so my other advice is start with the free stuff. I mean, there's some pretty awesome free tools out there, and if you're curious enough, pun intended, you can develop your own ways to kind of do stuff for under $100 a month easily.
And Sarah, I think there is a great privilege for us having you with us here, because you've been on the C-suite, you've been on ExCo kind of table for quite some time, and you know how ExCo thinks. If I want, as an HR professional, if I want to influence a financial or a business decision, and back to what Colin said, what is the real value of me calculating it in monetary terms? Because sometimes I see a lot of presentations that very enthusiastic professionals come to ExCo with, and they go like, this is the trend, or our competitors doing this, but then they kind of skip the calculation side of things.
Amazing question. And yes, the finances will always matter whenever you're presenting to either the CFO or to the board or the CEO for that matter. They're always going to want to know what the ROI is. And the ROI could either be in the form of money, or it could be in the form of efficiency or cost reduction. So there's a lot of ways that you can demonstrate ROI. My advice would be as follows, in the following order. Number one is understand your business finance. If you are an HR professional or any type of professional in general, and you don't understand your company's revenue model, or you don't understand your company's operating model, or where there are inefficiencies, or where we can actually make savings, then you're not going to be able to give the right ROI. You might demonstrate an ROI that's not very valuable. So that's the first thing, is understand the finance within your company and understand the fatty areas that you can borrow money from. So that's what I used to do, is I used to understand the business finance, and then I would come up with cost saving. And then from that cost saving, I'd say, let me use 50% of that for this. So this is the way that I used to do it. Now, if that's not an option and you actually want to try and get a budget, my advice would be to start small. We sometimes go into the finance or the board team, and we have this massively extensive model that's, Rolls-Royce version of AI. And it's like, bro, start with a secondhand Corolla. Like, why does it need to be the best freaking tool that you have? Get it, like, do the bare minimum. Show the results. Show that you can drive. Show that you're not going to kill yourself or whoever's with you. And then once you've earned that trust, you can start to ask for bigger budgets. But I would start small. And then, unless you have a massive budget and time, money is not an issue, start small. There are very micro initiatives that you could do that could really add a lot of value, and it's observable. So you just have to think outside the box. And if you have trouble thinking outside the box, ask ChatGPT, because she has all the answers and she can be super creative. And I say she because I'm sure she's a woman. She knows everything and she's rarely wrong. So she's got to be a woman.
But she's rarely wrong, you say. Right?
Rarely. I didn't forget her.
All right. There are 3 gems in this webinar. You're leaving with 3 gifts. And Sarah, thank you very much for the extensive answer, and Colin for the answer earlier as well. And the first gift I want to give you guys is Sarah and Colin have been very generous, offering their time for those who are in the webinar now, and they're going to drop their contacts in the chat box. If you want to reach out after the webinar for a mentorship session, I don't have to mention it's free of charge, of course, but then if you would like to go to them after the session and speak with them for a specific case study. Of course, everything is going to be confidential. It's between you and them only. Nothing is going to be recorded, etc., etc. This is for you to get the sound of expertise, to know how to go about building a proper case study. If you do face a little bit of challenges, or at least ambiguity when it comes to how do I influence the key decision makers in my organization, right? So the first gift, and Colin and Sarah, thank you for being so generous with your time. It's such a scarce resource to be generous with these days. So we do very much appreciate that. So for
what's my gift? What do I get?
We still have to talk about this. So Colin just shared his contacts in the chat. Sarah, if you don't mind, please sharing yours as well so people know how to reach you. And this is the first gift. The second gift we have, as promised in the beginning of this conversation, is
one night with Mina.
Sorry?
One night with Mina.
And so back to Sheikha's question around, can we please get some free tools? Yes, so you get Curious for free. How about that? So the second gift is Curious is offering 60 qualified candidates. Each candidate, by the way, is worth around $300. You do the math. And so for your next role, you get 60 qualified, matched, AI sourced kind of candidates. Sarah, thank you for bringing the Tinder example earlier. So these are gonna be good matches. All right. And now but I'm not sure. Like Kiran, how do we get in touch to get this? How do we do that?
To avail this offer, all you have to do is go to our website on Iris, register over there, and 10 lucky recruiters will get that. You're going to get an email right after this webinar is over, everybody that's attending, and they will have the chance to just register there and win this.
Am I considered an attendee? Can I also register? This sounds cool.
Yes, very much so.
All right, awesome. Now for the third gift and the last gift. We have around 10 minutes to close. And the third gift is, as individuals, and this question, I think Sheikha also had this question earlier. She was asking about tips. How can we familiarize ourselves with AI? So for closing, Colin, what is the best practice here of individually, personally and professionally, but mainly individually? How can I get myself familiar with AI, become AI friendly, AI literate, because it's definitely right. One of the core skills that's coming to us from the future now. So how can I better familiarize myself as an individual with AI?
Okay, great question. So that is what I generally say is what you've said there. To better familiarize yourself, you just got to use it and integrate it into your daily routines and workflow wherever you can. Just if you scroll up a little bit, I put a Chrome extension, which I'll show you right now because I just think it's brilliant and I use it all the time. And there's no one on earth who couldn't use this thing and get value out of it. And I'll just very, very quickly share my screen and show you. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so I'll share the full window, I think. So if I'm reading an article, so here's something random here. It was the Meta Quest blog announcement for the Quest 3, and it's very, very long and detailed, and you know, sometimes this can go on for ever and ever. There's a great little plugin that I've been using for ages, and it's this one here, and you click on it, gives you a very short summary. Remember I talked about earlier how AI is just brilliant at summarizing things? So there's a paragraph, and there's 10 bullet points with some little emojis, and it helps you use it. And I think this is absolutely amazing. There's another one, and remember what I talked about talking to AI, which is this one here. I mean, I can go in and I can pick something that I'm talking about. I can click this button, and as I actually speak, it's going to recognize the words, and I can literally talk to it and it'll talk back to me. There's a couple of others. There's this one here called Jack Chat, which I would highly recommend as well. Put it on your phone, download it, and instead of having to type with your fingers, you just talk to it. You can be really, really verbose, and it's brilliant. And then the last one is something called MeetGeek. Now, there's many different types of these. There's Otter, there's Fireflies, but they can integrate into your Zooms and your Google Meets. They record everything and they send you summaries, and then you can ask them questions about what you talked about. It's invaluable, and I really, really love it. And the latest one that I found the other day, and I'll end on this, is called Ramble Fix. And basically what you can do is you can just click a button and you can talk. And you can talk for 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes, and it will take everything that you said and it'll condense it down into either a social post or some bullet point meeting notes or an agenda, or what else does it do? Press release, journal entry. It's incredible for, you know, taking all the wonderful stuff in your head, letting you just be extremely flamboyant about what you're talking about, but condense it down into the summary of what you need. These are just a couple of examples that I use all the time myself. I would highly recommend people do that, and then just go out and experiment with the other tools that are out there. Find the ones you use. That will get your brain into thinking how I could now bring this into my own job, my own organization. What are the tools I should be using? And that is my very best advice for you.
Such a valuable one. I can see the reactions in the chat. Sarah, can you see that?
I can. I'm very jealous.
Oh, hang on. I'm not saying. Okay.
Colin, that landed very well. Thank you very, very much for that.
Oh, thank you for your summary.
Now this is of course for everybody who missed whatever. There is a quick summary in the chat. 3 key actions you need to take after this webinar if you want to make sure that you have tangible, pragmatic takeaways from this webinar. You will find in the chat box 3 key actions you can take right after this webinar, right? So Colin, since you have the microphone and we have a few minutes to close, closing notes from your end, what would you like people to leave with? If you have your own gift, your own wisdom to offer them before we pull this off.
Basically what I've just said, you know, AI is not going away, and it's going to take over pretty much everything. So you need to use this to your advantage. And I mean, look, I just am super passionate about it, and I love researching and learning about new tools and using them. And not everyone is like that, and I of course I know. But if you experiment with them, they're extremely user-friendly, and they're very, you know, productive and beneficial no matter who you are. If you write anything ever, you should be getting ChatGPT to help you. Not do it for you, don't do your homework, but, you know, get it to help you. If you need to do research, it's fantastic for that. If you want to do brainstorming and ideation, you should be integrating it into as many things as you can. I mean, I don't really use Google very much anymore, or ChatGPT, or JackChat, or one of the others, okay? Put it on your home screen, put it, you know, there's a little plug-in that when you do a Google, it'll give you the ChatGPT beside you, and start figuring out. And then, I mean, if you want to stand out in your business, start showing your organization, your boss, your fellow colleagues, how they can do it too. And you'll stand out by that. Now, you know, what I do is I go into organizations and I try and help them, and I train their people on AI and helping to get that base layer of education and understanding to make sure you know where you're going. So, you know, if anyone wants me to do that, I'd be more than happy. I'm here in Dubai, but we can do it remote as well. Because it is one of those things where once you kind of change your way of thinking from the old school into the new school, it opens up this, you know, completely new era of how you want to do things, and all of the different applications and things that are out there to help you be more productive and generally just enjoy your role.
Fantastic, fantastic insights, Colin. It's been such a pleasure having you with us. There is a lot of value that you provided. It's very evident from the chat. On behalf of everybody, I really thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to the next opportunity to engage with you.
Thanks so much, Mina. I've loved it.
Sara, closing notes from your side. What would you like to leave with the people?
Closing notes from my side. So from one non-AI person to another, my closing notes to you would be, don't be scared of it, be curious about it. If you're going to focus on AI and focus on the ways that you're worried you're going to not have a job, you're stuck, and you're looking at things in a very one-dimensional way. AI is going to transform our lives. Like, we need to be somewhat careful. Can I share the story, Colin, of that whistle that records everything you say?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a funny story. Colin and I were having a pre-webinar meet, and he was talking to me about this tool that you wear around your neck like a necklace, and a pendant, whatever, and it records everything you say and everything that people say around you. So it literally records your entire day. And so Colin was using his Meet Geek webinar tool, which takes notes and listens to the Zoom call. And I replied and I said, if there's a tool that's going to be listening to everything I have to say all day, I will most likely end up in jail. So at the end of the meeting, Meet Geek summarizes it. And one of the things that it said was, Sara Maria Bouri is worried about AI and scared she's going to end up in jail very soon. And I'm like, I'm so pro AI. I'm a total beginner as well, but I'm also experimenting. I'm failing a lot. I'm meeting awesome people like Colin and like Mina and the entire Curious team. And I'm learning. So I just take it micro steps. Don't be scared of it. Just do baby steps. You don't have to be an AI expert. You just need to be curious about it and curious about learning. And then you're gonna be fine. But just don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck, because then yes, AI will replace you if you're doing a boring, monotonous job, which, let's be honest, most of us are.
Curious about it, curious about learning. Very well put, Sara. Thank you very, very much for being here. You've been the bridge between AI and human resources, and for this, we're very, very grateful. And thank you again, Colin and Sara, for providing your time. So here you have it, people. You have free mentorship sessions, you have free candidates, you have a lot of ideas to start familiarizing yourself with AI to be like, top-notch professionals in the future. I think you have it all in less than an hour. So massive thank you to Sara, Colin. Special thanks for Curious for bringing us all together. We hope you enjoyed it and had fun, but most importantly have learned, and there was a paradigm shift for you all. Again, my name is Mina Wasfi. I thank you very much, you guys, for being here, and hope to see you all soon. Have a fantastic rest of the day / good night.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Guys.